Hallo, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Khushamdi. Ji, ayanu. Goedemorgen. Ishpata.
Pakhairagale, ni hao, chume, washmale, ohio, gunzaimes, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabia, bhalli kare aaya. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PTV World. You're watching World this morning alongside the very fantastic, the very amazing, the very superb, the very talented, the very intelligent, the very elegant, the very eloquent speaker, ladies and gentlemen. She happens to be Miss Shiza Hashmi, and I happen to be Mr. Shahzad Hasan Khan. Hello, Shiza. How are you doing on a fine Monday morning over here in Islamabad?
I'm doing absolutely great. Thank you so much for asking. And, well, thank you for the lovely words.
Thank you very much.
I mean, how come you're so generous? I know you always are, but I think today you're extra generous. Why
Yeah.
so?
You know, there's a reason which I think I will be giving away in a little time. But
Okay.
before we do that, I think I really need to take a minute and
Talk about
appreciate
the weather. Oh,
outside.
dear
Oof,
God.
it's just so amazing. It was just so superb to come to work today. And you know what? There was one more thing as well. It wasn't rushy at all today.
Yeah, I left late, so I don't know.
right.
Okay, sorry, I hope boss doesn't watch this. But here's the thing, I feel like the bestest weather happened in the night while we were sleeping,
Yeah.
yes. I did wake up to a massive thunderstorm sort of.
Even
There was
I
a
got
lot
scared.
of...
I don't know
it
whether
was so
such a
scary.
grown-up man should say it on TV or not, but I got scared a lot.
And
last
because
night.
I live on the, well, I mean, fifth is not that
So you're
high.
close
I
to
know.
God.
I'm closer to God in terms of the flats. It was
Yeah.
literally shaking. Oh God, it was
Oh my
so
God.
scary. But Alhamdulillah, it was pleasant. I mean, to wake up to it as well. And now then travel to work watching the Margala Hills, and it's just so pretty. And I think it's also a perfect weather for a walk today, Shazad.
Wow, that's wonderful. But you know, unfortunately, I don't think that I can take advantage of it because the
Why?
other day on Friday I went to the gym.
Yeah.
So I was doing squats and then I couldn't go back up. You know, so have you heard this very common name, chuk pad jana?
Oh,
You know,
of
so I
course.
actually had to go through that all through the weekend. So I was just lying down
Oh
on bed
no.
with cold pack on my back as well. But other than that, for all of those people who are fit, who can do that, I think it's your day, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure that you take out time. And once you go out, make sure that you follow all the SOPs. That's very important.
Absolutely. And speaking of following the SOPs while also doing the walk, it is. I actually forgot the slogan. What was it? What was it supposed to be? Something to do along the lines of, well, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I know a lot of you must be going. A lot of your friends and family must be going to the Aurat March today.
Yeah.
Today happens to be Women's Day. A very, very happy Women's Day to everyone watching, and I'll tell you why, everyone. Because, well, women directly, yes. And if you're men watching, a happy Women's Day to you for
Yeah.
having women in your life. I mean,
Exactly.
daughters, sisters, wives for that matter, friends for that matter. And each and every single woman in each and every single role, this day is dedicated to you.
Exactly. Thank you very much for saying that. And ladies and gentlemen, I think I will start by appreciating the efforts of my mother, you know, my sisters, you know, all of those ladies who surround me in my house as well, my daughters for that matter. And I believe that, you know, that if they wouldn't have been around, my life wouldn't have been this way. Or I might not have come across the way I come across people as well, because it's all what my mother taught me and how to sit down, how to stand up, and how to do things in life as well. So I really want to appreciate your efforts, Mom. And if you're out there, Ammi, please make sure that you get to feel what I'm trying to convey over here. Because today, I know that women are definitely going to be out there to make a difference. But believe me, all of those ladies who are out there, I'm with you to make a difference and add on to that.
Thank you so much, Shazad, for saying that. And this was sort of what I was going to talk about as well. So, well, one of the slogans I absolutely loved for today's march that is going to happen is "6 foot ki duri, magar inqilab zaruri." Now, my question to you, Shazad, and
Yeah.
the only purpose of me asking you this is because I really want to debunk all the people, their concepts actually,
Yeah.
who watch our show and actually think that, well, males cannot support Aurat March or this day for that matter. Why is this Inqilab Zaruri, Shazad?
I think, to be very honest, ladies and gentlemen, we live in a society where there's a lot of stigma, where we do not really let women decide for what they want to do in their life as well. There's a lot of stereotypical thought processes which go on as well. And with even Aurat March, I know that, you know, a lot of people have their own reservations, which unfortunately, I think that people really need to have a clear mind where we are talking about women who, and they actually need to be in leadership roles as well. And why not? And why cannot we give them the right they deserve, they have, they were born with, and this is not something they should be asking for anyways. I think that's how the
And not
society,
from men, at
yeah,
least.
that's how the society needs to be, and we want everybody in a leadership role. Not just that, we want women to do whatever they want to do in their life, rather than telling them that, okay, you just have to become a doctor, so rishte achhe aayenge, or probably just do engineering and all of that stuff. I think that gone are those days. Now we really need to have a forward thinking, and we really need to be in line with what people are doing all over the world as well, how women and men both are contributing towards very inclusive and a progressive society.
Thank you so much, Shahzad, and I'm sort of really proud of you sitting next to me today, because I wanted this to come out of your mouth, why we need to celebrate and then, well, revolutionize this thing as well. But you spoke about women in leadership, and I actually happen to have a promo ready for you to watch.
Yeah, and before
of all the women in leadership in Pakistan.
Yeah, and before we move on towards leadership, ladies and gentlemen, I honestly belong from a background where all my daughter, in fact, sisters got married when they were 17, 18, and then they didn't even finish their education. But not just that they finished their education even after marriage. All of them, alhamdulillah, happen to have clinics. All of them work, and all of them contribute to the household as well. Not just their own household, they even contribute towards their husband's work as well, which I believe is great. And you know what? I think that with all of us working, alhamdulillah, the entire family is working, and may Allah keep it like that as well. We do not have time for extra things, Oh, usne kya kaha, or usne kaun sa joda pehna,
It's a different
we're over
world.
that, yes.
And Shahzad, economists actually say that if all the women who are eligible to go work in Pakistan, if all of them do find work and start working, the GDP will increase threefold.
Yes.
Threefold, it's insane. I mean, just imagine how we won't be a third world country anymore. But ladies and gentlemen, the package or the report I was talking about, where we are going to celebrate women in leadership positions in Pakistan, here it comes. Let's take a look.
Go ahead.
I have earned the respect of society because she taught me the meaning of respect.
My children know the difference between right and wrong because I was taught to differentiate.
I am successful in my career today because her prayers never left my side.
My friends trust me with their feelings, for she taught me the value of trust.
When I leave home every day and return each evening, all worries and stress seems to disappear as I enter her loving embrace. She is the reason I am able to fight the good fight every day. And she is the reason why all of it becomes worthwhile.
She is my mother, my daughter,
my wife, and my sister. She is the beautiful, responsible, and progressive essence of our country.
I am the woman of Pakistan, the essence of its purity.
Well, the essence of its purity, that is absolutely true. Again, we are celebrating International Women's Day today, and without further ado, I really want Shahzad, please, to be introducing our very apt and perfect panel of guests.
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, completing our day, completing our lives, ladies and gentlemen, these are the ladies who actually are going to represent. And believe me that these are the ladies from different walks of life in leadership roles as well. And to be a leader, ladies and gentlemen, nobody's going to come and tell you, sir, please leader ban jaye. You need to have it within your own self as well, and then practice what you want. And make sure that you leave a legacy as well. You have students who follow you as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a psychologist as well. She happens to be Dr. Aiza Abid. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Good morning, and as always, good to be here.
Thank you very much. Happy Women's Day.
Thank you.
Proud to be a woman?
Yes, definitely.
Wow, I'm just jealous. Why am I not one? Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you alongside Dr. Aiza. Ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by Group Head Quality Assurance, PPAF. He happens to be Aisha Salma. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum salam. Nice to be on your show today.
Thank you very much,
Our
and it's
pleasure,
wonderful to have you alongside Miss Aisha. Ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by Program Analyst from UNFPA. She happens to be Dilshad Pari. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum salam and good morning, and thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you very
It's
much
our
for
pleasure.
joining us. It's wonderful to have you, and I always thought that pariyon ke par hote hain and all of that, but thank you very much. That's,
I saw it coming.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you over here. Last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, this lady, I believe, has actually created a lot of differences in a lot of
She's the
people's
element
life
of
as well.
change.
She's the element of change, and the kind of courage she has, and the kind of dedication, the kind of passion she has to make sure to sort things out for other people as well. I think it's commendable. She is Miss Abia Akram, who happens to be the Director Project for STEPS. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Good morning and happy Women's Day.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you
Eidi ki
so
taraf
much
meri,
for
Eidi
having
Eid.
me here.
The way Abia said happy woman, so mujhe laga, okay, I think there's
is
more
a
to
happy
come.
day.
Yeah, wonderful to have you.
That is because, Abia, we know you have actually been working a lot for, well, the prosperity of women, but especially women living with any sorts of disabilities or even transgenders for that matter, or non-binaries. So I want to begin the conversation with you. What have you been doing this year?
Yeah, thank you so much. In fact, we are celebrating the International Women's Day all over the world. And in Pakistan, the most important thing is, like this year, we are celebrating the achievements of those women with disabilities who have been contributing for the rest of their lives on the grassroots level, on the national level, on the global level. And we are very lucky, like we have in the parliament, we are going to organize and celebrate the International Women's Day with the Speaker National Assembly and also the caucus, Women Parliamentary Caucus. And this time we are having like non-disabled women part of it. And in solidarity, we are seeing like how we can bring that change. And also defining the areas where we can talk about the legislation and the implementation of the plans.
So important.
In collaboration with different stakeholders, especially UNFPA and the different organizations, how we can see, we can include other deprived groups, transgenders and young people with disabilities, older people with disabilities, and can see a positive life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is brilliant, mashallah. Good luck for that. We will definitely
you.
get to the details of every bit of it. But ladies, let's start with something really basic. This year, because of course we're a part of the pandemic as well, we are well, categorically celebrating women in leadership roles throughout the pandemic. What do you think about the theme, and why do you think it's 2021, it's still important to, well, call out and celebrate women? Let's begin with you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much. And first of all, let me say a happy International Women's Day to all the amazing women out there and girls out there. And you know, when it comes to International Women's Day, we look at this as an opportunity to take stock of whatever we have done, whatever efforts we have made to advance women's and girls' rights in the country. And we also see it as an opportunity to see what needs to be done for the gender equality. So it's really important. And as you already said, that we are in a COVID time, which is a very unique and challenging time itself. And we all know, and evidence shows that women were disproportionately affected by COVID-19 because of their pre-existing vulnerabilities, their susceptibilities to gender-based violence, and their disadvantaged position in the society overall. So they were, even more impacted. The impact of COVID-19 on them was very, very different and very unique. So this is really a time and an opportunity to see that and acknowledge their exemplary role. Because women have been amazing. Their role has been amazing in response to COVID-19 as healthcare providers, as mothers, as caregivers, as women in police and community workers, as well as women in women leader in public offices. So this is the time to acknowledge that and to see that and take stock of that.
Exactly, and it's wonderful as well. But I think that rather getting into it deeper as well, what I would love to know is, I would really want to bang the nail on the head as well, and I want to ask that, how do we change things? We want women in leadership roles, but then at the same time we see, since I was sharing before the show as well, that only 22% of the global population of women get to be heads at the government level or heads of the state as well.
Or decision makers for that
yes,
matter.
and if that's the pace, it's going to take us another 130 years to come somewhere near equality or equilibrium. For that matter, not just that, over here in Pakistan, the survey says that 70% women at one point of their life will actually go through violence as well, that too, talking about domestic violence. Not just that, on top of that, there's economic disparity among, if, alhamdulillah, for everybody who's out there, we get paid equally, and I do not mind that at all. I think it's wonderful, and everywhere that's how it needs to be. But there 22 to 11%, there's a disparity amongst the paychecks as well, if it is in comparison to the same women on the same post rather than a man on the same post as well. So how do we get to change all of these things, and how do we normalize? Men do not go around, throwing stones at dogs and whatnot, but why can't they just have this mindset that, okay, that they can be violent against women? This is something I don't get.
Misogyny is deeply entrenched in our society. Let's begin with you, Ma'am Aisha.
I think first of all, change takes time, social change takes time. In Pakistan, if we look at our statistics on women's economic participation, it was about 12% in the 1990s.
Yeah.
Today is 24%. Right, so and I think give it another 2 decades, we'll be much higher than we were 2 decades ago. So I feel quite hopeful. Of course, as women leaders gathered here and with your support, we're impatient for change, right? We do want, because we feel that we are much capable of contributing to our national economy even more. So I think things are changing. I think the interventions need to start at childhood.
Absolutely.
We need to educate both boys and girls, have them access to quality education. And then also, as we say in Urdu, tarbiyat, right? Tarbiyat is so important. The character building that we do for our children at home, how we treat them, how we teach them to respect women, respect their mothers, respect their sisters. I think all of that grooming is so important, and that's when, when men and women enter the workforce, they're far better prepared to accept each other as co-workers, and then eventually as leaders as well. I mean, this is a nation that had the first Muslim prime minister, woman prime minister. So I feel quite hopeful that, even within Pakistan, there are pockets of excellence, pockets of change, and that is what carries us forward.
Absolutely. Exactly, and it's wonderfully explained as well. And, later in the program, I would actually want each and every one of you to, kind of name that lady who have actually inspired you as well. But before we do that, let's just ask each one of you that what are the changes you're expecting in near future for women? Abi, let's start from you, and everybody gets to speak their own mind.
Before that, also, the question that Shahzad threw to Ms. Aisha over here, Dr. Aiza, I want you to explain the psychological effect of it. There must be, definitely, right? To take all that, being a woman, and then to be in the society and to function properly, there must be,
because, just
a great mental toll that one must
this
take.
thought just came across because when, alhamdulillah, it was Prophet's time, alhamdulillah, I don't think the things were like this, because he was always very respectable towards his wives and all of those peers as well. So somewhere in the middle of the way, we lost track, and now we're going back to it as well. So why do you think that this is acceptable? Why do we have that mentality?
I'm so glad that you raised this particular point in how to change it. I was just thinking, about a couple of years ago, I have sons basically, so I raised them with great sensitivity, and so one day very proudly I said, I have given my children a lot of freedom, and my son turned around and said to me, freedom is not given. Freedom diya nahi jata, azadi hoti hai. And today when we talk of women's freedom and everything, and that's again, that thought comes to me. We are free. We don't need to be given opportunities. They are all there for us. We are not asking for our rights from anyone.
But we are definitely deprived of them.
We are deprived. So, Shiza, the way I see it is we have to change the way we talk, our perspective. Like, you know, I'm watching people say, we are, you know, women are taking their rights. We are not taking, we are giving them.
You're
or, you know,
entitled to those rights.
So, you see, how you present, how the perspective, how we talk, the narrative has to be changed.
Exactly.
But Dr. Riza, also please add one thing to it. Now, this is going to be a generalization, but a true one. How come, I'm talking about young boys over here, I'm talking about university going boys, while
People
a lot
like
of
me.
them, while a
Young
lot of them
boys.
I've met, mashallah, very open-minded. But in a situation, or even in a public space where they do feel they can have the upper hand over a girl or a woman, why does a stranger feel like he has the ability or he has, well, the permission to come and tell me, ye tumne kaise kapde pehne? And it has happened to me on metro bus. Can you believe it? How do they get the notion that you XYZ has the power to come tell me? My dad allowed me to come out of the house in this attire. My brother allowed me. Who are you?
Exactly. You
psychology
see,
behind it?
this is
No,
the point.
and I want you both to stop over here for a minute. You know, that's the mentality I want to change. My dad allowed me, my brother allowed me. Hey, you know what? We're not actually asking for permission.
I'm not. I'm saying they didn't have an issue with me walking out in the attire.
So you see this, when you use the words they allowed me, again we are relying on them. Look,
Now I
the
get it,
sense of right and wrong is the same for men and women. In the
Exactly.
Holy Quran you will find it's mentioned good men and good women. It's pious men and pious women. So there's no discrimination for the right and wrong. You know, there's no right for you and there's no wrong for me.
Yeah, got
it's
it.
all the same. So therefore, we need to understand and teach in our schools. We have come up with a new curriculum and everything. But what are we basically, that sense of society, communal building. So we talk about rights, we talk about taking care of each other, and we talk about, first of all, dealing with each other as human beings.
Exactly.
First of all, you and I, we are human beings, we have feelings, we have a very strong sense of self-respect. We and a trust in humanity, that nobody can just come up and say anything they like. So,
Right.
So you see, the main point is, first we start with respecting each other, and then differentiating between right and wrong, and there you
Absolutely.
go.
And it's wonderful
I wish
as
it
well.
was that simple.
Yeah, it's not that simple, but ladies and gentlemen, obviously, you know, when you, it's just like throwing a pebble into the water where you get the ripples, and the ripples start to come back and over again. And I think that this is something which we want. And you know, when we do such programs, that's what we are doing. We're actually throwing a pebble into the water so that the ripple effect starts to come. And you know, everybody speaks about it. Right now, we actually need to go for a short break, but once you'll come back, one, we actually are going to share all of those wonderful women who have actually brought a good name to Pakistan, and number two, we'll be asking each one of these ladies things they think should actually change by now. Let's go for a short break. Good
Stay
morning.
tuned. Good morning.
International Women's Day.
Back to Well this morning, ladies and gentlemen, where today Shahzad Khan and myself, Shiza Hashmi, are trying to take you all on a journey where we are definitely celebrating and actually learning more about the roles that women play in our lives.
Exactly.
Especially, we are celebrating women in leadership positions in Pakistan.
True.
Just a small thing, Shahzad, before we do move on, since we are, you know, the theme actually revolves around the pandemic.
Yes.
So 70% of healthcare workers globally are women, 70%. But
सबको रिश्तों की परेशानी मुझे
no, but yeah, but there's so many different arenas to it, right? It's not just being a doctor. But here's the thing, because of the pandemic and because of the global societal pressures, I want to say, or the values, societal values for that matter, women are the ones who took the hardest hit in terms of having to leave their job either or being fired by their offices because, well, it was convenient for them to keep men as compared to women.
Yeah.
And this is just me giving out stats of what's already been reported.
Exactly.
This is the time we also need to talk about the women that have been laid off, that have been working, well, day and night, just not for the family, but for the community, but their efforts are not recognized.
Exactly, and not just that, Shiza, I think that, you know, what everybody at homes really need to recognize and consider is that a woman, ladies and gentlemen, is working 365 days throughout the year. And, you know, there's no time zone as well, you know. Obviously, you know, when I go back home, I will sleep, you know, and wake up in the morning because I have to go for work. But in the middle of the night, if there's something, someone needs something, you know, that very moment, you're just going to go to your mom and be like, hey, Ammi, you know, even she's sleeping. Come on, everybody needs to respect that. Everybody has different needs as well. For that matter, even in institutions of where, unfortunately, in Pakistan, we do not have a concept of maternity leave. You know, that we really need to respect the way they've been designed.
Yes.
And I want everybody to do so as well. But right now, we have a small clip to share with you all. And once you guys will come back, we'll ask our panelists over here to let us know what things they would love to change within the way we perceive about women. Let's go. Let's take a look.
All right, well, this was very true. Qaumo ki izzat humse hai. So, Shahzad, I'm now going to begin with your question. If you could repeat it again in Abia.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you know, with women from different walks of life in leadership roles within their own lives as well, obviously they have gone through some sort of journey. They've gone through a lot of inspiration for that matter and a lot of pressures and challenges as well. So, I want each and every one of them to let us know that what were those challenges which they faced in their life and what are those things which they want to change in the way men perceive about them. Ms. Habia, let's start with you.
Thank you so much. What we see, like from last 2 decades, we have been working for the visibility of persons with disability, especially women and girls with disability, and how we can engage them at all levels. It's like on the policy, legislation, but at the same time implementation. And we say like a jargon, it's nothing about us without us.
Yeah.
So it's like for every woman, like if we want to see them in the policy, then they have to be on the table. Like in the parliament, they have the reserved seats for them and how. We have faced these challenges of the physical infrastructural barriers, but at the same time attitudinal barriers. That's huge. Like that need to be like at least addressed right now. And we also need to acknowledge those people who are supporting us, especially my mom or the people who are behind us, who are really like pushing to work for not only for yourself but all over the country, how we can see and bring that change.
Done, Ji, done. You know, the best part is that, you know, the way Abia speaks, at the moment she starts to speak, actually, you know, so the person feels like, okay, ji, theek, ab jo keh rahi, theek hai, done ho gaya.
No,
Wonderfully said,
like
wonderfully said.
Very nice.
Wonderfully said as well. Pari Sahiba.
So actually, Shahzad and Shiza, this is a complex situation, okay? So gender-based discrimination, gender-based violence, these are very complex phenomena, and a lot of factors, contributing factors are there. And you know, almost a lot of women, they face at one point of time in their lives those discrimination and violence. So what should be done? I think it's kind of a very, very incremental work. It needs to happen incrementally.
Yeah.
There can't be one solution for this problem. Since I'm a development professional and I look at it from that angle, so I think there are certain enablers which needs to be in place to deal with this issue and to address the issue and to advance women's and girls' rights in the country and for gender equality for that matter. So, to start with, as a development professional, I would say it's really important to have evidence, data.
Okay.
So the data should tell us what's happening,
Yes.
what's actually is happening. And other than that, it's really important to have guiding frameworks. The legal frameworks there should be, and their implementation. So state and departments, government department, public department, they should make sure that all the pro-women laws out there, they are implemented properly. So that's really important. And on top of that, if we do not really have enabling environment, and our communities, women, men, societies, and all the key stakeholders, they are not aware of these issues. If they are not aware of the cost and consequences of those discrimination and violence, then it's not going to, even in that scenario, the legal instrument is not going to do much.
Exactly.
Because eventually, at the end of the day, they are the one who are making decisions.
Yes.
They are the one, it's based on their actions. So it's really important that the masses, women, men, who are usually the decision makers, who have more power, they should be aware of the cost and consequences of violence and discrimination, because this is not one thing which is impacting or affecting women only or girls only.
Families.
It's affecting families, it's affecting society, country, nation, it's affecting every one of us.
Wonderful.
Wow,
So
very
I
beautifully
see
said.
it
I
that
love
way.
And I agree with everything you said, ma'am. Moving on to Ms. Aisha, the same question. And also to add for you, please let us know what the Poverty Alleviation Fund is categorically doing for underprivileged women.
So I think first of all, we need to focus on changing mindsets and incentivizing women's empowerment in a way that men feel that they have something to gain from it. Often when we talk about women and girls empowerment, it seems like a zero-sum game, right?
Yeah.
Somebody is feeling threatened, but I
It's a
don't think...
win-lose.
Yes, and it's not a win-lose. I think
Shouldn't
it's
be.
a win-win situation. Whether we talk about domestic violence or violence in the workplace, we don't excuse it. But I also think, and our colleague here, a psychologist, can help shed more light on this, but I think it stems from a lot of stress, a lot of behaviors that start, and a lot of attitudes and pressures that start very early on in childhood that carry on into adolescence. So I think really understanding what men and boys are also facing, understanding and working with them, as well as focusing on women and girls is very important. Because women, when we talk about women being able to work safely in a work environment, you talked about enabling environment, right? That safety comes when we all feel that we can go to work, we can go and use public transportation, as you said, and we should not feel violated or harassed in any way. So I think a lot of change needs to happen. Pakistan Poverty Alleviation Fund focuses a lot on women's economic empowerment as well as on girls' education. So we support particularly in rural areas, far-flung areas where access to education is limited. We work with the government, with private schools to get more access to education for girls and boys. And we also do a lot of work on economic empowerment, giving them livelihood assets, financial inclusion, so that women are financially independent.
Brilliant, brilliant. That is amazing. And we really hope to see, well, of course, there are definitely results in the areas that you guys are working on, but to have a larger scale result where we see, okay, this is what we came out of as, Pakistanis, it will be amazing. What about you, Dr. Aiza? Shahzad's question again.
Well, I think I'll just take it to another level, and I was thinking that, okay, how do we make a change?
Yeah.
So a lot of time men, the gap basically, so we are like out and celebrating women's right and everything. I think what we need to do is develop trainings, develop a structure in which the whole society is trained like in a systemic process, in a regular, for example, if you have orientation sessions in universities, new students coming in, you have those orientation, But at those orientation sessions, because abroad they are doing that it's a multi-faith, and how you are blending different religions together.
Yes.
So at every level, we need to teach people. We need to teach, and now that's very important, because things are not automatically transferred.
True.
Exactly.
Education, values, information needs to be given every time to every person. Okay.
Absolutely.
So we need these extensive trainings made part of your work environment, or your school place, your university places, your hospitals, and everything. That this is how the etiquettes of dealing with each other, the manners of dealing each other, what comes under harassment, whether it's for the same gender or whether it's for the other gender.
Yeah.
So if that's incorporated into our trainings, into our school system and everything, I think that would be the biggest jump we could make, rather than waiting for things to organically happen. Or I would really not wait for 2 more decades. We have really worked hard.
We're slow, what can we do?
Yes, so I would really like to just, we have such successful achieving women now.
Yeah.
I have seen a change in mental health. It's been very slow, but pandemic has really pushed the awareness. So let's go all the way and
Step on the gas.
Step on the gas.
And Dr. Isa, you're absolutely right. And you also spoke about early intervention, where we need to not educate girls on what their rights are, but equally educate girls and boys on what, well, generally respect is. And Shahzad, I remember one thing, this was just probably last week or 2 weeks ago, when we were talking about single national curriculum.
Yeah.
One thing that stayed with me, I love it, love it, love it, and inshallah, I really hope for it to make a change as well. Imagine all the girls and boys. Now, the person who developed the curriculum said this. They're going to be, of course, studying the same thing. One of the things where you spoke about harmonizing people, they have changed, earlier when we used to study stories, all the names were, for example, Ali or Omar, for that matter, Muslim names. They changed the names to Muslims, Christians, and Hindus and Sikhs in the books. Secondly, rather than generating a story of Sara khana bana rahi thi or Ali baitha tha, they're changing that Sara or Ali khana bana rahe the.
Yeah.
So it's just something so minor, but imagine the effect it's going to have on the children studying it. That is how they will grow up.
And in
I
any
have
ways,
high
I think
hopes.
food needs to be eaten by everybody. So I think there's no harm in making it for your own self as
Exactly.
well. But now, it's a very, we're going to tread on a very different track. It's very less tread upon as well.
Yeah.
And I want each and every one of you to please give your very valuable feedback on this. Now, one thing which I'm going to not kind of involve myself into, or the conversation is not going to go that way, because religion, ladies and gentlemen, Allah is going to ask you about whatever the religion you have to follow or the way you follow it. We really do not have any take on that.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is that, I think marketeers have really kind of disturbed the very image of women, because in some products they have objectified women in a way, and then when we watch movies, they objectify women in a way where, it's very natural to come across in a very different way as well. So, God forbid if then there's a woman in an area where there's nobody walking out anyways, and you see a lady, the reaction is very different. And I spoke that day as well, that I probably want to come across that day in my life.
Don't say it again.
जिधर से मैं गुजरा हूँ तो किसी खातून ने करके छेड़ दिया हो. We can never come across that situation. But what I'm trying to say over here is that, that we, over the period, within our dramas, within our movies, within our films and songs, we've objectified women so much that the image a man carries of a woman is very different. Now, obviously, that woman who actually played that character should have been responsible, or the kind of impact it's going to have. How do we change this mard ki mentality about women, where they have only objectified women rather than considering them as their own half or as their essential part of the community?
And you understanding this is actually a sign that you're media literate. Thank
Exactly.
you so much for
Thank you
being
very much
that.
for
But
saying
not
that.
everyone is like you. I hope they are. Let's begin with you, Doctor.
You give me the tough question first.
Sorry.
Well, again, I think you are a very positive role model, Shahzad. We need good role models. We need people in our community to come up and say it's okay. Every time with this Aurat March and the other things which come up, so it becomes, black and white.
Yes, go on.
So it becomes like if you're here or you're here, it becomes that kind of situation. We don't want that. Nobody wants that. We want people to own up to their responsibilities.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
and there's no harm in that.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, making them aware of their responsibilities, and that's all what developed countries are doing, what educated people are doing. So this divide has to be, you know, taken.
I think I'm going to partially agree to it, but the question is different. What I'm trying to ask over here is that how do we get rid of this objectifying mentality of men
Women
about
are not
women?
objects.
Yes, please.
I mean, it's true,
Yeah.
right? They're not objects. So how can we get rid of this mentality?
I think this is a global problem.
It is.
Every right, every country in the world faces it. Recently, you would be aware that there was a large multinational company that changed their entire advertising brand. It was selling a product which was
Yes.
about
Yeah.
beauty and
Yes.
whitening,
Yeah.
skin whitening, right?
They've changed their name now.
They had to change their
Yeah.
name because somebody took them to court, right? And I think that those are things that really stem from within our society, that you have to call out when you see a man or a woman objectifying a woman. I don't
Yeah.
think it's only men who objectify
Yes.
women. You'll find lots of women who think that if you're coming in on media, it's a bad thing.
Absolutely.
Right? So that perception needs to change within both men and women. And I think there's nothing better than to actually call out something when you see wrongdoing happening.
Hannah?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ms.
Yeah.
Pari.
I basically, you know, objectifying women and commodifying women, I see the whole phenomena rooted in power dynamics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it has a different angle to it. It is based on the power dynamics. And of course, it's a very complex thing, but, you know, to be able to deal with this, we need to have sensitization and realization at community level. I think, you know, we need to understand as a society that gender equality is not something like dividing the pie. It's pie getting larger.
Yes,
Okay, it's
yes.
pie, but it's getting bigger. So it has, you know, impact, and it has positive impact for everyone.
Yeah.
So if we understand that as a society, we will be able to deal with this issue.
The pie is
then.
getting bigger.
Yeah, the pie
I
is
think
getting
wonderful,
bigger, yeah.
wonderfully said. Abia.
Brilliant.
Exactly, I agree with her. Like, it's all about giving the power and the decision making to women.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like during the pandemic, we find many women were facing gender-based violence, sexual harassment, and how we empower them through the virtual trainings and give them all the information. Access to information is another part. And also we say like media have very important role to play. We always see the dramas or different like areas where they always see women and then disability sitting in a corner and crying, and everyone is just showing protection and pity to them. So that need to be changed and have more conversations and the dialogues on that.
Absolutely,
Wonderful.
that is brilliant. We don't want to be that damsel in distress anymore. And that is what we all agree on. Of course, this was last week. A lot of other brilliant women are on the show talking about the same thing. But thank you so much for your amazing input. You all are individually amazing in your, well, capacities that you're doing. Ms. Pari, you have something to
Yeah,
add?
I just want to add that, you know, in addition to that, we as responders, for example, the development partners, you know, government, public institution as responders have to respond to this. For example, the pandemic, we came across all these issues, and UNFPA supported government for telepsychosocial, you know, and GBV referral things. So we as, you know, as a society together with all the stakeholders should respond to these issues. And I think that's the ultimate solution we can have.
Exactly.
And if I may add, we need to be connected to the world. We are in our own bubble, in our own cocoon.
Yeah.
So the objectifying and the marketing strategies based on the whimpering
Our
and the
own
we
society,
and that. So let's have a broader
Yeah.
perspective.
Let's get over that, and thank you very much, wonderful women, or Wonder Woman for that matter, for joining us. It's wonderful to have you everywhere, wherever you are. You know, in our eyes, you are wonderful and you are amazing, and everybody and everyone should contribute towards a cause which is definitely going to bring about a positive change.
Yeah, we really hope, as usual, Shazad, that this show did sort of, well, generate thinking in you at least, and you will definitely try to create or make a change.
Yeah.
And if there's something, like any sort of suggestions that you personally feel we did not add in our show today, or we didn't, well, we forgot to talk about, do write to us to let us know, because we're always open to new ideas, of course, and new perspective too.
And just one small thing, and I know that a lot of people have actually kind of edited all of those play cards as well. But if you're going to Aurat March, please make sure that you write some decent play cards. You know, that's one thing which I wanted to request, so that you come across as decent as well, and that there's more acceptability of you and your cause.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's such a long debate as well.
Yeah.
The things that are written are happening to people.
a lot of
it's
people
a real
edit them,
thing,
yeah.
Shahzad, and they're edited as
Yeah.
well, yes. So please write us on a Facebook page to let us know your opinion, or let us know how your day went as well, especially in terms of International Women's Day, on our social media pages, all with the name of
Well, this morning,
yes. And the repeat of this show you may catch at
5 past midnight. Till the next time, ladies and gentlemen, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
Take care.